Today we're going to be doing a tutorial for this planet pendant, which was requested when I shared the other pendant earlier. So grab your wire, grab your tools, and let's wrap some wire. Okay, hi everyone, it's Leslie from Lola Bell. We're going to be doing a tutorial today for the planet pendant. So you're going to need a few different gauge wires. So we've got one piece of 18 gauge wire, which is 1 mil thickness. We have 5 strands of 20 gauge, which is 0.8 mil in thickness. And then we're going to be working off the reel with this 0.4 mil wire. So that's 24 or 26 gauge. I don't work in gauges. So we've got here a lovely cabochon. I'm just going to adjust my zoom so I'm not in and out of the shot there. So we've got this lovely dyed crazy lace agate cabochon. And we're going to be turning this into a planet. So as you can see, the actual pattern on the stone is quite planetary. So obviously it suits this style quite well. So as per usual, I haven't measured my wires. Typically eyeball pretty much everything, which is probably not the best way to do things, but you know. Okay, so what we're going to do to start off with is we're going to create a the back of the pendant, the back of the cage for this. So what I'm going to use is this nifty little tool which I got on Temu, and it's just really helpful for making that sort of shape to go on the back of the stone. So we're just going to pull the wire around on the largest of settings, try and get that circle nice and rond, and then what you should see is it will sit quite nicely on the back there. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So with this thicker wire it does sometimes sort of spring back out of shape, so we want to just try and make sure that we've got a nice round back. So when we actually go to put this on the back of the stone, it's also going to make up the bail. So we obviously want to make sure that we've got enough excess here coming up to sort of obviously turn up and turn into the bail. So I'm going to grab my smaller pliers and then I'm just going to bend this wire straight up and then match that on the other side so they sit next to each other. So you have this nice round back frame, so it's going to sit nicely on the back there. So what we can do with this pendant is we can make it in stages, which actually is quite nice because it just means that you can put it all together at the end, and it all just becomes a bit easier. The actual component parts of the pendant are quite simple to make. So obviously when you're looking at the pendant and you're sort of thinking, oh my goodness, how do I make that? Easiest thing to do is make it in stages, and then you can obviously bring it all together at the end. So because of the amount of weaving in this one, I am just going to put my very attractive silicone finger cuts on, and I'm going to just adjust my camera so I can make sure that I'm staying in frame as well. There we go. So we're going to work off the reel for the bail, and for the actual frame of the pendant. So all we're going to do nice and easily is we're just going to bring this smaller wire between the two and just wrap maybe 3 times. So we're going to go once, twice and 3 times just to secure that wire, and then we're going to push it down so it's just sitting right on that bend. What I'm going to do here So to start with, we're going to do a crisscross bail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up between the two upward wires and then back round, pulling them together, not so tight that they move out of shape, but pulling them together. It's a little bit fiddly to start with because things are moving around, and once it starts to get a little bit more set, it becomes a bit easier. So we're going to go round twice on the other side, back up between the two, and then around. And my thumb is in the way because I'm trying to hold the wire nice and still. So I'm going to go around once, twice, come back up between the two, over the top, round between the two, over the top, round between the two, back up between the middle, and then over the top of the other one and around twice. So what you'll see, hopefully, is you're starting to get that sort of movement. So then what we want to do is just split these wires out a little, and we're just going to carry that same pattern on. So over twice, in between, over once, over twice, in between, over once, over twice, in between, over once, over twice, and just carrying that on. Hopefully you can see what my hands are doing. Once, twice, once, twice. So basically just 2 times around each side, back up between and over to the other side. Once, twice, back up in between, once and twice, back up, once, twice. So you can make your bail extend out and then come back in. We want the bail not too thick, but just so it gives it a bit of dimension and shape. Just flare it out and flare it back in, and you'll see that I push the wire down with my fingernail each time. Just keeps it all nice and tight and tidy. Twice, once, twice, once, twice, once, and twice. So you can see now we're starting to get that pattern. So we'll go for a few more runs and then we'll start to bend the wires back in towards each other. So we're coming back in on the shape. Good. Okay, so we've got a nice run there of height. So then to bring them back in together, all I do is I make sure that the wire isn't kinked to start with, because otherwise you're going to end up with a bend in it, and then I just cross them over and push them in together there, pinch and hold, and then with my flat pliers I just kick it back out. So then we have that shape. Now when you're coming back up the bail in this position, the wires do try and slide up the bail, so you kind of need to hold them in place So we're still carrying on with that same pattern, 2 wraps on each coil and on each side, and then coming up between the 2, round twice, round twice, back in, round twice, and you'll see that it's all starting to come back in together. Once and twice, once and twice. I need some more excess on the coil. Just keep going until we get back up to the point where they meet, and then we'll tighten it all up, secure it all off, squish it all down, and shape the bail. So we've got the first component of the build. So there is a lot of weaving involved in this one, which is obviously why I've got my finger protectors on, because otherwise you can start to get a little bit sore on the old fingers as you're pulling the wire down or pushing it in. But obviously, you know, you don't have to follow this pattern for this one. You can sort of change it up, you can make it different. You know, that's the whole fun of being creative, isn't it? Is putting your own spin on things and trying different styles and different things. That's how I learn, is you know, sort of watching tutorial videos but then changing it. So we all have different things that we like doing and different styles that we like, but it's just obviously putting our own flavour and taste on it. So once we've got that bail shape, we're just going to trim off the excess, and what we're going to try and do is trim the excess off so it's as close to that wire as possible, and then pull these back up, and then trim off the excess of this one as well, but we want to point it in towards the stone so it's not skin facing. So we've got oh, wrong way. We've got the back and the bail built. So we'll just take our flat nose pliers, we'll push all of this together, make sure it's nice and tight, like so. So there we have. Now with this bit, what I am going to do is I am going to hammer it before I shape the bail round. So let me just get my hammering block and hammer. So I apologise if this makes the... I'm going to move my camera back because I really don't want to hit my camera lens. So all we're going to do is just really gently... Perfect. Okay, so if you're not used to hammering, basically all it does is it stiffens this up, so this isn't going to move as easily as it would if it wasn't hammered. It also gives it quite a nice texture as well, so we obviously want to just make sure that everything is nice and smooth. And then with our bail making pliers, we're just going to gently hold and bring that bail over and around like so. Okay. So we've got a little bit excess here that we don't need, so I'm just going to trim that off. And then what we can do here is these two little tails, all I'm going to do is just pinch them, make sure my bail is held in the right place, and then I'm just going to bring them through the circle back around. Now your bail will try and move, so try and hold it in place, but obviously if it does move, we can still to get these as tight as we can. Back around. And then all we're going to do is just trim them off. It's probably not quite enough. Yeah, do a bit more. And then with this little tail end, we are just going to bend it up and under. Same with this side. Grab hold, bend it up and under. So what you'll see is the two ends are now facing upwards, which is going to be into the back of your stone. So let's get rid of these little bits of waste. So now we've got the bail and the back. We'll just double check. Yep, that the stone sits just on the front nicely. Lovely. And like I say, you might need to make a few fine adjustments. But there we have the back sitting on the stone. Okay, so we can put the stone and that to one side for a minute, and we'll move our attention to these wires. Now then, these wires are try and get them a little bit straighter. Okay, so with these wires, they are going to make up the frame. So what we want to try and do, let me zoom out, not in. What we're going to try and do here is create a weave that we can then shape around the edge of that planet. So again, the starting of this is a little bit more fiddly because you are holding and trying to weave at the same time. So we're going to take again the same 0.4mm wire, and we're going to go around 3 times around just one of these wires. So we're once, twice and 3 times. And again, just move this so I can move. So we are working off the reel. This does help with reducing the amount of waste that we create. So once we've got those three wires there, we're going to bring the second wire in and just hold it over the top, and then we're going to go around once and twice around both, like so. Okay, same again, we're just going to take the third wire, just sit it on top. Now this is where you can play. Go once and twice. So now the wires are all held together, it's a little bit easier to move. Go once. And actually, I'm going to change my mind. So I'm going to go 2 on each, 2 wraps on 2 wires. So we're going to go between the first and the second wire. And we're going to go around twice. Once and twice. Up. We're going to go over the 4th wire. In between the 4th and the 5th wire. Go once. Twice, push it up, go around it all again, once, twice, push it all together, and then over the 4th, over the 5th, under the 4th, push it together, I'll go around those twice. And what this does is it gives you a nicer spacing between the wires. And then you go between the 4th and the 5th, and then under the 3rd, so between the 3rd and the 2nd. This is where it gets a bit confusing, isn't it? All these numbers. Again, go back up over the 4th, under the third, and then we go over the third, under the second, 2 wraps there, 1 and 2, and then over the second and under the first, 1 and 2. So what you've now got is this 2 on each, and then we'll just give it a bit of a squish, tidies it up, and as you can see it just sits nicely. Now what I always like to do with this weave is actually separate the pyramids. So we've got the pyramid tutorial video, so by all means if you want to go and watch that one, that's fine, but I always do between 3 and 5 single wraps on that base wire, on the bottom wire, so number 1, and it just gives you a little bit of room between each of these pyramids. And then we start again, so we go up and over the second, around the first 2 wires twice, and then we go over the third, under the second, twice, over the fourth, to the third, twice. So what I'm going to do is multiple wraps of this, and I'm going to do it off camera, so I'm going to do a few more pyramids just so you can see what we're doing, but then I'm going to finish them off camera. Okay, so once we've got all the way up to the top, we go back between the 5th and the 4th wire, push them up, and then onto the 3rd, and we go and wrap around those 2 wires twice, once and twice. We go back up between the 4th and the 3rd wire, under the second, and twice, and then over the second, under the first, once and twice. Okay, and then we do again, we do that 5 wraps, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so we've now got 2 pyramids. I'll give it another squish. Like so. There we go. So we've got 2 pyramids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry this on, and I'm going to do it off camera so you can follow along with the next part of the creation, which will be shaping the frame to go around the stone. So if you want to just carry on doing these for your own pendant, and then I will be back shortly for the next step. Okay, so not only have I finished wrapping all of those pyramids, I have swapped cameras as well because my camera battery just died, and I've unwrapped that first point, which was done as the full wraps. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pyramids in total. And as you can see, it's all nice and smooshed. So the next point that we're going to work from is, and I'm going to leave this tail connected in case we need to do a few more once we get it wrapped around the stone. So obviously what we want to do is now wrap this around this stone, but we don't want it to sit exactly on top. We don't want it to sit off of it. We want it to sit just over it, that it's going to hold it between this and the frame that we made earlier. So to wrap this and start making shapes, we want to really gently start to tease it round. Now we need to try and keep it kink free. So what we want to do is just gently keep working it along and just moving it softly into a curve, and just work ever so gradually around as we go. Now there may be an easy way of doing this. I haven't found it yet. So if you know of an easier way to do this section of the frame, then by all means pop it in the comments and I will be more than happy to give it a try. But I do find this is probably one of the best ways to get sort of like a nice round shape through your frame. And obviously what you can do is, once you get to a certain point here, so we've got like an almost circular shape, you can start to offer it up. So you need to see just how much more you've got to go. And then once I get to a certain point, I can start to pull it gently and I can see where I am. Now, oops, what I can also do is use this tool again to a degree and start to just gently bring it around. Now I don't want it completely to this shape because it's smaller than the stone, and actually this one's probably a little bit better. Yeah, this one's a little bit better because it's more fatter, should we say. So what we're going to end up with now, I'm sorry, my hands are in the way, you can't really see. What we're going to end up with is hopefully a reasonably nice circular shape that will sit over the stone. So we just need a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Still tiny bit more still. That's good. So there, you can see we have, this needs to come down a fraction. Now I'm holding it there because I want it to stay in that shape. Still needs a tiny bit more. And there is a point where it becomes overworked. So it's trying really hard to not go to that point, shall we say, because obviously once it goes too far, you can't come back from it. Okay, so just popping it on here. Just try and get the last of that shape there. Now I'm just going to hold it here for a moment, just try and get that wire to sit nice and flat, nice and round. This is why this particular style is actually so fiddly. It's not so much making the weave, it's not so much any of that, it's this bit. Okay, so once we've got that shape, and I'm going to keep putting the stone there just to make sure it's not moving, because the last thing I want to do is shape it, pull the bail out, and then it will move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this section and I'm going to pull up each wire individually. like so, and then still holding on to this relentlessly tight, I'm going to flip this around. So what we've now hopefully got is the shape held. Yep, thank goodness. You can see the shape is held, and we've now got this section here. Now, because we don't need these for the bail, these will just become decorative. So I'm just gonna hook that way for a second, because it's just gonna hold it all in place a little bit more. Okay, so we've got, and actually what I can do is I can detach this from the reel now, because I know it fits. It just gives me a little bit more freedom of movement. So we've got front, stone, and back, and you can see there how they're all going to come together. Yeah. We're not quite there yet, but you can see how they're going to start to sit together. Now these bits are actually quite useful now as well in decorating the top, but what we need to do is also take another piece of 18 gauge and just pop that to one side. Just going to cut off this little curve. So this is actually going to make up the front section, so the rings around the planet. So what we need to do first and foremost though is connect the front and the back. Okay, so the front and the back, that's going to all sit lovely like that. Now to do this bit, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut these off. So I've got a couple of little, I'm going to use a couple of little bits of the weaving wire that we've just used. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to feed this through 2 of these wires. And I'm going to just go around it once, just to connect. So you can see I've gone between there, and I'm just pulling that nice and tight. So you can see I've got a little weave there all on its own. Oh, bang the camera, sorry. So what we're going to do is we're going to just place the stone for a second. The stone is not going to stay, but we just want to see where we're sitting. And then we're gonna, oh, too many wires, turn it over. So you can see now we've got these 2 little bits of wire hanging off the bottom here. These are going to come and connect to your frame at the back. So it's fiddly, more so when you're trying to do this on a camera as well, because you're trying not to hit the camera. So what you want to do is you're going to wrap a few times around each of these wires. So I'm going to do maybe 3 or 4, just to make sure I've got a very good connection and it's not going to unravel, unwrap or anything, because that's the last thing we want. And we want to keep it as neat and tidy as we can on the back as well. So got 4, and we'll come across there and we'll just give it a little trim. So we'll just the same with this other one as well. So we're not too worried about how the stone is sitting right now. We're not technically securing that stone in, but what we are trying to do is just see where everything sits and make sure that we've got enough excess wire that it's not all going to suddenly start moving out of shape and just losing its place on the actual pendant. Okay, so there we go. So we'll just pull that one across again, give it a little snippy snip snip there, and then we'll just pinch that end around like so. So now the back and the front are connected, as you can see. It's holding the stone there. And now what we can do is exactly the same thing. We're going to do points, so we're going to do maybe one here, one here, one here, one here, so the whole of the back is connected. So we'll just work our way around them. And again, I mean, on my, I keep the stone there just to make sure that nothing moves, but we just feed that wire between, so you can see it's going just between these two wires. Hold one end of it. Just make sure that the frame is in the right place. Back through again, so we just go around there. Make sure everything's nice and secure. And then exactly the same thing. Now when I'm doing these little weaves, I do tend to use my pliers because it's just easier to kind of pull things through, grab the little ends and squeeze it all together, so I don't have to keep sort of putting them down, picking them up, etc. And I just work my way around and then snip it off when I've got to the end there. Give the end a smush. So again here, we just want to make sure that we are leaving enough. And this is where it is fiddly, because if you pull the wires too tight, you could pull it all out of place, which means that the stone's going to sit more to one side. That's probably why I prefer to keep the stone in whilst doing this, even though it does make it a little bit more tricky. But we just want to make sure that things don't go wrong at this point, because we've put a lot of effort into making the frame. We don't want to waste that now. Okay, so we've got one there, and then what we'll do is we'll do one on this side. So once you get to a point, obviously you can start to let go of the stone, because it will naturally just start to secure itself. We're not quite there yet, but we are not too far away from it. So we'll just give everything a bit of a squish, make sure everything's happy. Hold one out of the way a second. So there's no right or wrong with this. Like the tighter your weaving wires are, the more it's going to hold the stone in place. I'm so sorry, I keep banging the camera. The more it's going to hold that stone in place, and it's just going to make it more secure. One more. And put it over the top. Snip and squish. And then we'll do the same over here. So you can still at this point finely adjust things, and if it means just giving that wire a bit of an extra tug, tighten it up, then so be it. And what you've also got to remember, yes, you want the back of your pendant to be tidy, but people don't buy your pendants because of how they look at the back. They buy them because of how they look at the front. That doesn't mean to say that the back of your pendant should be an absolute mess, but it is the construction part of your pendant, so it's not the be all and end all if it's not perfect at the back. Okay, so we're getting there now. A couple more of these little so we're gonna just work magic on these last few. Oh, I keep banging the camera. I am so sorry. Because it's my phone, I'm having to have it lower. Who am I kidding? I bang the camera anyway. But because it's my phone, I'm having to have it lower. Okie dokie. So we are starting to get there now. And the stone is starting to feel a bit securer. And again, you know, that you might find another way to secure this stone in here. And whatever works, works. You know, this is just how I do it. I'm sure there are other people who would do it in a slightly different way. And just be mindful when you're pulling your wires here. Don't want to move the bail too far off center, because otherwise it's going to look weird. And we don't want weird. So like so. Okay, so we're getting there. Give the end a bit of a smoosh. And remember, obviously, all of the sharp edges of your pendant need to face into the stone. Oh, banging that. Face into the stone. Right, so we'll do one more bit. One more bit over here. And again, I mean, this probably will look entirely, completely different to the last one I made, purely based on I don't replicate any designs. I don't try to do the same thing over and over again, because each of these pendants should be unique. So I never try and make it look the same. So it might be a similar design, it might be the same thing, but it's made to look the same. Banging the camera again. Because if they were all the same, they wouldn't be unique, would they? You know, and yes, stone may be unique in it, but you know, you want something that's individual and different. You don't want the same as what your mate's got, just with a different stone in it. You want your own unique. You do you, sister, that sort of thing. So we're getting there. And I think I'm realising that although I keep banging the camera, my phone is probably picking up detail a bit more. So yeah, you tell me in the comments below, what's better, the camera at the beginning or this now, which is on my phone? I don't know. I'll make my judgment when I watch it back to edit, but okay. So what we've got now is the stone is set, so we can now place the stone. Now what I want to do here is with this, I'm actually going to bring it back round to the front. Now this is tricky as well, because the last thing you want to do is make a mistake this far into a pendant. So we're just going to bring all of these round like so. Get rid of this bit, pull that round. Okay, so there we go. So what we've got now is the stone is set, and you can see that it's the bail is set. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to weave one of these back through the bail as a bit of extra security. You can never have too much security, and then we'll just pull that in around like that. There. And then trim that off. So then this, I'm just going to connect in into the back of the bail here, like so, there. Right. So now bail's not moving. So with these now, just move these out of the way a second. Actually, because of the way I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring that back across, and then I'm going to bring it round under these ones. So this is the creative process, because you know, whatever you do now, it might look great, it might not, but really what we're trying to do is just start to shape things that what I want is not to hide any part of it, but just to give it that finishing touch sort of look. 2, 3 and 4 wires. And really, I mean, you could put another stone in the top here. You could build like a, you know, something into the bail. Whatever you decide to do, it's all fun. So right, we've got now the planet. We've got like a little orb at the top here. Now these bits I'm going to bring over the top here. So I'm actually going to connect these to the back. And this will just, again, adds to the security. So you can see I'm just bringing that wire around, giving it a smush. And just tucking the end in. Same with this one. And giving it a smush. Right. Now, that one I'm going to bring round also. So we want to start just reducing the amount of wires at the front and securing those wires in the back. Like so. So then this one, and the shorter wires are really the ones that you want to try and really sort of get rid of, I suppose, connecting them in behind, because they're not going to serve decorative purpose. They're not long enough. So by getting all of these shorter ones around to the back and trimming them off, it just means what's left here is a bit longer and a bit more usable. And what I want to do is try and get these in some kind of order so they sit nice and flat and flush. So there's one, and then I'm guessing okay, so you can see now we've got a bale at the top. Now with these wires, I think I'm just going to get rid of this one. This is what I mean, things like this evolve, so as you're building it, you'll look at it, and it's always wise to look at it and question everything that you're doing. Check that you're happy with how it looks as you're doing it, and if you're not, you can change it. You know, this is exactly why I don't tend to work with a design. I do have some bits that I have designs for, but typically I don't. Typically I just let each pendant become its own thing. Okay, so now what we've got is we've got 4 wires at the front, and I want to try and keep them nice and flat. Oh, sorry, bang that. Keep that nice and flat. I'm just gonna bring it round, holding them all nice and flat to each other, and then that's gonna come round and over there like that. Okay, so and then these we're going to connect in at the back again. So start with the top one. And work your way down through the wires. Angle these down a little bit so there's a bit of space for them to sort of maneuver, because obviously we've got those other wires connecting at the top. And try and keep them in line there. That's it. So pulling it through, giving it a tug round, pulling it in. And I apologise, as always, my naughty dog downstairs screaming at the postman. And again, this one, let's bring it around, squiff it under there, give it a tug, put it round and down, snip, squish, and then the last one. So all of our base wires are now attached, which is great. And I'm just going to give that a good squish around, pull it round, squish, and pull it down. So, excuse me for sniffling. So you can see now we've got the planet, we've got a little bit of a swirly thing, we've got the bail. So let's just get rid of some of this waste. So I don't know what your setup is, but I have like a little miniature wheelie bin on my desk, on my workbench, that when I cut the wire, it all just goes straight into that wheelie bin. And it just means that I've not got lots of little shards of wire hanging around. So then what we've got to do now is we're just going to shape the rings. So what we want to do is I'm going to just curve it like so. So what we want to do is we want to give like a bit of a dimension to this. So it's not just a sort of stick it in and hope it works, but we want to try and get like a bit of an angle on it, maybe like that. And then we're going to again grab the thing and hook it down. Kind of went off camera a bit then, apologies for that. So we've got like this ring. Now what we can also do is we can make it a double ring, but now we've got that shape, what we can do is bring the ring around again. I've not got enough hands. Bring the ring around. Okay, so we can take it off because we're not connected yet. And I'll put that to the top. That goes to the bottom. And we just basically follow it. Like so. Now what you could even do with that is you could make it quite cool, because you could do like a cross, or you could do them flat next to each other. I would probably suggest following your gut. I tend to like put them side by side like so. Now what we want to do here, it's very fiddly, and because I kind of make it up as I go along, I can't talk you through what I'm doing all the time because I don't know. Right, so here we have the pendant. Okay, so I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have one ring like that. I think one ring, yeah. I think one ring. Right, I'm just going to move my phone up and out of my way. I apologise for sniffing, guys. I've just got over a really, really bad case of flu. Okay, back down. So by hammering it, it makes it a bit flatter, and we're going to end up with a much more sort of dimensional twist on there. Okay, so holding it in place, what we want to do is find your pliers. We're going to have to, this is a bit tricky, this bit, because it's going to keep moving. Right, so, and banging the camera again, joint the angle like that. Yeah, okay. So what you could do here, just to help yourself out a little bit, because you are working with something that's going to keep moving, is pop a little bit of tape on the front. Oh, you bang the camera like so, so it's not going to move as much. So then when you actually come to try and bend this wire, tease it underneath and round, it's not going to massively move everything out. Okay, so there we go, there's that one done. And then we can do the same over here, but I'm going to trim this down because it's a bit too long. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab and we're going to yoink, 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 and then snip, yoink, and then we'll take this off. Can't get this bloody stuff to stick when I want it to, and when I don't want it to, it won't let go. Okay, so what we've got is a planet with a ring and a bail that's nicely hidden, so it's going to sit. And you can adjust this, you can fix this down if you want to, you can kind of put another little bit of wire in and around here if you wanted to. Yeah, so there you go. So obviously this is a bit more of a long-winded tutorial, but by all means please pop your comments down below, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you try it, and by all means please come and share if you do make this with me on Facebook and Instagram, etc. But yeah, there you go, the planet pendant, all nice and snug and done. And obviously the stone will still twist a little bit in there, so you can still adjust it a little bit, but it should be nice and firm. And all that's left to do is pop it on a cord and you're done. Okay, so thanks for watching, everyone. Really enjoyed doing this one with you. Hope you've enjoyed it too. Again, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Lola Bell videos. We are really trying to develop I am really trying to develop the YouTube channel, and I'm hoping that you think that this quality of video is a bit better, obviously using my phone. But excellent. Thank you ever so much, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.